Welcome to Fun and Games Side Quests. Every episode is a different host sharing a video game they love and why they love it.
Hello, my name is Caleb. I'm a host on the Lore Party Podcast Network, and I'm also the host and dungeon master of the Kestrel Tavern on the Carpe Ludos Network. And today, I'm talking about one of my favorite games, despite it being relatively recent, and that would be Fire Emblem Three Houses. So, full disclosure, Fire Emblem Three Houses is my first Fire Emblem game. I didn't have a 3DS, so I haven't had the opportunity to play Fates or Awakening or any of the earlier ones in the series. But despite it being my first one in the series, I found that it did something that very few other party RPGs had done nearly to the extent that it had. And that's that it builds itself around what the player's going to be doing anyway, which is specifically choosing favorite characters. So the core of the game's combat centers on that in a way that most party RPGs are already going to do, even if they do it a little bit more directly. A unit earns more experience and better stats when you use them more in combat. You can customize their playstyle or your own party makeup as much as you need to. Not uncommon, but still clearly intentional. And when you find yourself getting more attached to certain characters, deciding, hey, this Ash guy is super cool, or Leonie, or Petra, or Claude, or whichever character you're most attached to in the game, those are the ones that are going to end up with the most interesting stats and the play style that best fits how you personally enjoy playing. But it also builds on that habit of players more directly through the game's support system. So party members and characters who you work with more and who work together with each other more, they find better abilities to work together in-game. So if your healer and your tank get along really well, then your healer is going to do more healing for your tank. This also means that if you favor characters, you get to see more scenes and dialogue with them. That means that you have more benefits from them being paired with other people they get along with in combat, and it just builds on itself. On top of that, the activities that build those supports and those stats that are all out of combat, they take the form of social interaction. So the favorite characters that you're trying to give better stats to and spend more time with, you share meals, drink tea, relax at a sauna, sing in choir practice, cook a meal, and that's just a handful of the things you do. You progress in the skills in combat by spending more time with the characters you most want to see. And that's just what the entire game itself centers around. Even the game's most famous punishment, which is to say that units who die in combat die permanently and are removed from the story, centers on the assumption that you as a player are personally invested in that character having a continued role in the story, and on that character becoming absent to the story being, in theory, a worse punishment than having to restart a level. So Fire Emblem, altogether, it works as a story-based game. It does have a very good, very deep, very fun story. The voice acting's incredible. The music and the art style are what you've come to expect from Nintendo, who have been doing good music and art styles for a very long time on multiple different series. And on top of all that, it also works as an incredibly deep tactical strategy game. But finding both of those elements, you see them dancing around what the game is really about, and what I think most people who are really into this style of RPG are going in to look for anyway, and that's to find and learn more about your personal favorite characters. And even the game's base story itself asks you to find and seek out and understand more about the individual characters in whichever story route you choose. Fairly early on in the game, you're given an opportunity to meet the three main characters of the game, and you choose which of the three of them, once you've had a chance to get to know them, is the one that you want to spend more time with. And they become the main character of that story. You see their personal journey, you become a part of that personal journey, and they become a part of yours. It dramatically changes the direction and tone of the story. It dramatically changes what aspects of the greater world you explore, and it dramatically changes the context that everyone else experiences in this world. And even characters who aren't necessarily a member of the route that you pick at the start of the game, you can end up having join your existing party in your current route. If you end up joining one path, but you find that there's a character on another path that sounds really cool and you want to get to know them better, the game not only allows you to do it, but actively encourages and rewards you trying to do that. And then on the flip side, on your second playthrough, you start playing through and you realize you want some of your characters from your previous run to be on your side once again as you go on another side of the journey. You can bring them along. You can recruit people from previous playthroughs and have them join your existing party and get to know all of the characters. Because the story's gameplay and narratives and support systems all work together in such a unique way, it really does make it feel like the characters that you favor the most and the characters that you're around the most really are the important ones of your story. They're the people who you see more of them and you get to spend more time around them and understand what they are and what they're about better. And the characters who you don't have as much interest in are allowed to sit on the sidelines or even not come to your side and become an enemy. It makes the dynamics and the complexity of the game feel very unique and personal. You're playing the game that you enjoy based off of the choices that you make and with the characters that you are most attached to. I think that a lot of other RPGs do weave elements of this into their central gameplay. This isn't necessarily something that is unique to Fire Emblem, but the sheer extent to which Fire Emblem is built around this. It doesn't just encourage and allow you to have favorite characters. It makes having a favorite character the center of what you're doing and why you're doing it. And I think that just makes the game incredibly unique and refreshing and addictive. And if you're going to excuse me, I am going to continue my 6th or 7th playthrough, depending on how you count it, of this game. And if the thing that brings you to RPGs is a focus on the characters in it, I strongly suggest you check out, or in my case, replay this game. Thank you for listening, and happy gaming!
Hey there, my name's Abuzafar, and I'm the creator of the Lore Party podcast. It's a show about our favorite video game universes and the stories they tell. What does that mean exactly? Well, we don't do game reviews or first impressions, and we don't talk about gameplay or the latest news in the gaming industry. Our main focus is with the lore, the stories, the characters, and the worlds that we jump into every time that we fire up our favorite games. If that sounds like your cup of tea, just search Lore Party on your favorite podcast platform and check out some of our episodes. Thanks for listening.
Do you wake up every morning, roll over, and check your favorite social media feed, only finding that you wish you had never looked at all? Well, Inklings is here to lift those doldrums during the month of November. Inklings is a fictional short story podcast that will run daily on weekdays during the month of November from Dreamer Productions, the Dole Up in Dreams podcast, and Isolation Cast, Voices from Quarantine. Let your mind run to its deepest desires in the isolation of imagination. The stories will run 2 to 10 minutes, so take a break for yourself and enjoy Inklings, your daily short story indulgence. You can find Inkling by liking and subscribing the Dole Up in Dreams podcast, as well as Isolation Cast, Voices from Quarantine, wherever you find your favorite podcasts.
CPOV. CertainPOV.com.